Hi everyone, welcome to this video series on intermediate algebra. You might also call it algebra 2 or any other number of names. The first concept that we're going to deal with is solving equations, right? And equations are something that you might already be very familiar with from algebra 1. An equation is just something with an equal sign. So, for example, 3 equals 3. This is an equation. It might be a very simple one, but it's an equation nonetheless. A slightly more complicated equation, so pause the video, try it. Hopefully you can do this in your head. Is something like this: x minus 2 equals 5, solve for x. The step you might have taken is to add 2 to both sides, which will give you x equals 7. And that's the correct way to do it, and that's kind of what we're going to focus on in this video. This is called isolation, and while it might start off very simply like that, where you just add something to both sides, let's try to look at the fundamental idea that we use there, right? We wanted to find x. We didn't have x alone, we had x minus 2. So we wanted to get x alone. And in order to do that, we have to get rid of the negative 2. To get rid of the negative 2, we use the inverse process of subtraction, which is addition. It's just something that undoes the other. So when you subtract something, to undo that, you add that same something back. So we did plus 2, and this gave us x equals 7. Right? So it's fairly straightforward here. You just isolated x, and when you isolate it, you have what it's equal to. What if we had something a little bit more complicated? Let's say we had the square root of x minus 8. Let's say the square root of x. Actually, let's make it even more complicated. Let's say we had 2 plus 1 over the square root of x minus 8 equals, not even that actually, we're going to go a step further. I'm sorry, but I really want to illustrate the concept here. Something like this is equal to 3 over the square root of x minus 8 minus 2. We still want to solve, and I'll just make it clear over here, we're solving for x. Right, solve for x. 1 second. Okay, so why don't you pause the video and give it a shot. It might be quite a bit more complicated than what you might have done in the past, especially the previous example that we did. That was only one step, this will be a number of steps more than that. Why don't you give this a try and see if you're able to solve for x. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you pause the video, give it a shot yourself. Let's try it out for ourselves now. What we can notice is that this denominator is the exact same as this denominator. That will make our task a little bit easier. We can just subtract this from both sides, right? And again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to isolate x. Over here it looks like we're isolating 2, but even though it doesn't look very clear, we're trying to just get all the x's onto one side, right? And to do that, we're just subtracting this from this. Then we're going to, our next step will be to multiply by this to both sides so that we can just get root x minus 8 minus 2. Then add 2, get that out, then square both sides to get it to just x minus 8. You basically want to like strip down the x and remove everything around it. So we're going to remove this fraction bar, right? Right now it's on the bottom, we want it on top, so we want to multiply it. So that will be our first step. Then we want to remove the 2, we want to remove this radical, we want to remove the square root, we want to remove the minus 8. So we want to do all of those things, but before we do that, let's just get this entire thing, the square root of x minus 8, onto that side. So subtracting it, we'll get this, right? So it's just 2 over the square root of x minus 8 minus 2. Actually, there's another simplification that we can do that I didn't really mention. This is 2, this is 2. We can divide both sides by 2, and that will just give us 1 is equal to 1 over the square root of x minus 8 minus 2. Now we're a bit closer to our goal. You might already be able to figure it out just from this. So you can probably skip the next few steps if you just think it through, if you just do the work in your head. But I will show you everything just so that we can be like very thorough in our handling of this question. We still want to isolate the square root of, we want to isolate x. So we're going to multiply both sides by this denominator. That will give us the square root of x minus 8 minus 2 is equal to 1. We want to keep on isolating x, so now we're going to add 2 to both sides. That's going to give us the square root of x minus 8 equals 3. Now we're going to square both sides, which will give us x minus 8 equals 9. Now we're going to get just x. This should be very easy for you, hopefully. Add 8 to both sides, that will give us x equals 17. And with that, we're done. I'll just make it a little bit neater so you can actually read it. X equals 17. Was this a very difficult question? Not really. Our main step was just to it was actually the exact same as the last question. It was just a little bit harder. There were a few more steps involved, but the main driving idea that we used was just to isolate the x, right? Take off everything around it. First, we just combine it onto one side, right? That's straightforward enough. Then you have to remove the fact that it's in a denominator. You want to get it into a numerator. Then you want to remove the -2. You want to remove the radical around it. You want to remove the -8. And then you're finally left with just an x. So while there were a few more steps here, the main idea is the same. You're going to use the same idea not just for solving simple equations like this. There can be a lot of word problems where you have to use this. There can be a lot of other more complicated procedures as well. But all of them, or the vast majority of them, will rely on this simple idea of just isolating a variable. So that's it. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you were able to solve this question. Even if you weren't able to get it on your own, maybe after the first step or the second step, you were able to kind of just get nudged in the right direction and could solve it from there on your own. In the next video, we will take a look at substitution, which is a way. So over here, we just solved for one variable. Right? There was just x, 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 everywhere just x. We're going to introduce a second variable, y, and we're going to introduce a second equation. Right? So it might look something like this: x plus 2y equals 10, and 3x plus 4y equals 60, something like that perhaps. And we're going to ask you to solve not just for x, not just for y, but for both of them. And that's going to rely, there are a few different ways to solve that. The first one that we're going to take a look at in the next video is called substitution. But there will be other methods, and some methods might be better than other methods at different times. So we'll go over all of that in the next few videos in this first section of just solving equations. So again, I know this is a long video. I know I mentioned quite a lot of things, and we only ended up solving one question. But it will get faster. It will get more challenging. So just stay tuned for the next few videos, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.